Great. Well, good evening. Um, Hello, my name is Richard Kenyon. I'm the artistic director of Soul and Bliss Theatre, and I'd like to welcome you to our 14th online reading since the pandemic started. And tonight we offer one of Shakespeare's, I think, his greatest comedy, and arguably his best heroine, Rosalind, in As You Like It, Part 1. Perhaps of all the readings that we've done so far, we've done 25 in total. As You Like It is not only a wonderful diversion from the chaos and the madness of our own everyday lives, but it is a play that reminds us how pleasurable life can be. And you can also explore our archives on Soul and Bliss. We have links to all of the other readings that we've done. And a reminder that part 2 of As You Like It is next Friday at 6 p.m. Also for tonight, we're very excited and a little bit of a surprise in that tonight's performance, we are offering for you some kind of state-of-the-art FX. In the play, there's a very brief but an important wrestling match between two characters. And through the kindness of our friends at ILM, Industrial Light and Magic Studios in San Francisco, we're able to digitize both actors, GT and Joe, into this wrestling match as if they actually wrestled. And it was a busy week, and I want to thank you guys for that. And I'm really, really excited that we could do that. So enjoy that. A little synopsis about this play and what As You Like It is all about. As You Like It subverts the traditional rules of romance. Gender roles, nature, and politics are confused in a play that, as I just mentioned, reflects on how bewildering yet utterly pleasurable life can be. Exiled in the Forest of Arden is Duke Senior. He's been forced into exile from the court by the usurping Duke Frederick. And he takes refuge in the Forest of Arden with a band of faithful lords. Rosalind, his daughter, is kept uneasily at court as a companion to her cousin Celia, Frederick's daughter. And there's a wrestling match. Orlando de Boys, the youngest son of the late Sir Rowland de Boys, has been kept in poverty by his brother Oliver since his father's death. And Orlando decides to wrestle for his fortune at Frederick's court, where he sees Rosalind, and they fall in love. But there's banishment, and the Duke banishes Rosalind, fearing that she's a threat to his rule. So Celia, refusing to be parted from her cousin, goes with Rosalind to seek Duke Ferdinand in the forest. And for safety, they, of course, as in every Shakespeare comedy, they disguise themselves. Rosalind as the boy Ganymede, and Celia as his sister Celina, and persuade the fool Touchstone to accompany them. And on hearing of a plot by his brother to kill him, Orlando also flees to the forest and takes refuge with the exiled Duke. So now we're all in the forest. Orlando posts love lyrics throughout the forest, and he encounters Rosalind disguised as Ganymede. She challenges his lovesick state and suggests that he should prove the strength of his love by wooing Ganymede as if he were Rosalind. Yeah, that old trick. Anyway, love blossoms in the forest. Elsewhere in the forest, the shepherd Silvius suffers unrequited love for Phoebe, who's fallen for Ganymede, while Touchstone is pursuing the goatherd Audrey. Very, very simple, straightforward, and this is where our first part ends tonight. And so, without further ado, I want to introduce our amazing cast of actors.
Hi, I'm Celina Dean, and I'll be playing Rosalind.
Hi, I'm Joe Dinical. I'm playing Orlando.
Hi, I'm LuAnne Morrow. I'm playing Celia.
Hi, I'm Alana Urich. I'm playing Duke Frederick, Duke Senior, and Corinth.
Hi, Paul Gore, playing LeBeau and Jacques.
Hi, I'm Maddie Lewis, and I'm playing Adam and Audrey.
Hi, I'm Rose Shapansky. I'm playing Aemond's First Lord, a little bit of the Second Lord, and Sir Oliver Martex in this act.
Hi, I'm Glenn Thomas Cruz. I am reading Oliver, Charles the Wrestler, Silvius, and First Lord.
And I'm Richard, and I'm reading as the narrator tonight, but I'm also reading the First Lord, Second Lord, a Lord, and I'm also reading Touchstone. So, without further ado, as you like it. Act 1, Scene 1, enter Orlando and Adam.
As I remember it, Adam, it was upon this fashion, bequeathed me by will, but poor 1,000 crowns, and as thou sayest, charged my brother on his blessing to breed me well. And there begins my sadness. My brother Jaques he keeps at school, and report speaks goldenly of his profit. For my part, he keeps me rustically at home, or, to speak more properly, stays me here at home unkept. For call you that keeping for a gentleman of my birth that differs not from the stalling of an ox? His horses are bred better, for besides that they are fair in their feeding, they are taught their manage, and to that end riders dearly hired. But I, his brother, gain nothing under him but growth, for the which his animals on his dunghills are as much bound to him as I. Besides this nothing that he so plentifully gives me, the something that nature gave me, his countenance seems to take from me. He lets me feed with his hinds, bars me the place of a brother, and as much as in him lies, minds my gentility with my education. This is it, Adam, that grieves me, and the spirit of my father, which I think is within me, begins to mutiny against this servitude. I will no longer endure it, though yet I know no wise remedy how to avoid it.
Enter Oliver.
Yonder comes my master, your brother.
Go apart, Adam, and thou shalt hear how he will shake me up.
Now, sir, what make you here?
Nothing. I am not taught to make anything.
What mar you then, sir?
Marry, sir, I am helping you to mar that which God made, a poor unworthy brother of yours with idleness.
Marry, sir, be better employed, and be naught a while.
Shall I keep your hogs and eat husks with them? What prodigal portion have I spent that I should come to such penury?
Know where you are, sir?
Oh, very well, sir. Here in your orchard.
Know you before whom, sir?
Aye, better than him I am before knows me. I know you are my eldest brother, and in the gentle condition of blood you should so know me. The courtesy of nations allows you my better, in that you are the firstborn, but the same tradition takes not away my blood, were there 20 brothers betwixt us. I have as much of my father in me as you, albeit I confess your coming before me is nearer to his reverence.
What, boy?
Come, come, elder brother, you are too young in this.
Oh, wilt thou lay hands on me, villain?
I am no villain. I am the youngest son of Sir Roland de Boys. He was my father, and he is thrice a villain that says such a father begot villains. Wert thou not my brother, I would take this hand from thy throat till this other had pulled out thy tongue for saying so. Thou hast railed on thyself.
Sweet masters, be patient. For your father's remembrance, be at accord.
Let me go, I say.
I will not till I please. You shall hear me. My father charged you in his will to give me good education. You have trained me like a peasant, obscuring and hiding from me all gentlemanlike qualities. The spirit of my father grows strong in me, and I will no longer endure it. Therefore, allow me such exercises as may become a gentleman, or give me the poor lottery of my father left me by testament, with the which I will go by my fortunes.
And what wilt thou do? Beg when that is spent? Well, sir, get you in. I will not long be troubled with you. You shall have some part of your will. I pray you, leave me.
I will no further offend you than becomes me for my good.
Get you with him, you old dog.
Is old dog my reward? Most true, I have lost my teeth in your service. God be with my old master. He would not have spoke such a word.
Exit Orlando and Adam.
Is it even so? Begin you to grow upon me? I will physic your rankness, and yet give you no 1,000 crowns neither. Hola, Dennis!
Enter Dennis. Calls your worship.
Was not Charles the Duke's wrestler, here to speak with me?
So please you, he is here at the door and importunes access to you.
Call him in. 'Twill be a good way, and tomorrow the wrestling is.
Enter Charles.
Good morrow, your worship. Good morrow, Monsieur Charles. What's the news at the new court? Oh, there's no news at the court, sir, but the old news. That is, the old Duke is banished by his younger brother, the new Duke, and 3 or 4 loving lords have put themselves in voluntary exile with him, whose lands and revenues enrich the new Duke. Therefore, he gives them good leave to wander. Can you tell if Rosalind, the Duke's daughter, be banished with the father? Oh, no. For the Duke's daughter, her cousin, so loves her, being ever from their cradles bred together, that he would have followed her exile or have died to stay behind. She is at the court and no less beloved of her uncle than his own daughter, and never two ladies loved as they do. Where will the old Duke live? They say he is already in the forest of Arden, and many a merry man with him. There they live like the old Robin Hood of England. They say many young gentlemen flock to him every night and flee the time carelessly as they did in the golden world. What you wrestle tomorrow before the new Duke? Marry, do I, sir, and I come to acquaint you with a matter. I am given, sir, secretly to understand that your younger brother Orlando hath a disposition to come in disguise against me to try a fall. Tomorrow, sir, I wrestle for my credit, and he that escapes me without some broken limb shall acquit him well. Your brother is but young and tender, and for your love I would be loath to foil him, as I must for my honor if he come in. Therefore, out of my love to you, I came hither to acquaint you with all, that either you might stay him from his intendment or brook such a disgrace well as he shall run into, in that it is a thing of his own search and altogether against my will. Charles, I thank thee for thy love, which thou shalt find I most kindly requite. I had self-notice of my brother's purpose herein, and have by underhanded means labored to dissuade him from it. But he is resolute. I'll tell thee, Charles, it is the stubbornest young fellow of France, full of ambition, an envious emulator of every man's good parts and secrets, and a villainous contriver against me, his natural brother. Therefore use thy discretion. I had as lief thou didst break his neck as is his finger, and thou wert best to look to it. For if thou dost him any slight disgrace, or if he does not mightily grace himself on thee, he will practice against poison, entrap thee by some treacherous device, and never leave till he hath tamed thy life by some indirect means or other. For I assure thee, and almost with tears I speak it, there is not one so young and so villainous this day living. I speak brotherly of him, but I should anathemize him to thee, as he is. I must blush and weep, and thou must look pale and wonder. I am heartily glad I came hither to you. If he come tomorrow, I'll give him his payment. If ever he go alone again, I'll never wrestle for my prize more. And so God, keep your worship.
He exits.
Farewell, good Charles. Now will I stir this gamester. I hope I shall see an end of him, for my soul, and yet I know not why, hates nothing more than he. Yet he's gentle, never schooled, and yet learned, full of noble device, all sorts of enchantingly beloved, and indeed so much in the heart of the world, and especially of mine own people, who best know him that I am altogether misprized. But it shall not be so long. This wrestler shall clear all. Nothing remains, but I kindle that boy thither, which now I'll go about.
He exits. Scene 2. Enter Rosalind and Celia.
I pray thee, Rosalind, sweet my cuz, be merry.
Dear Celia, I show more mirth than I am mistress of, and would you yet were merrier. Unless you could teach me to forget a banished father, you must not learn me how to remember any extraordinary pleasure.
Herein I see thou lovest me not with the full weight that I love thee. If my uncle, thy banished father, had banished thy uncle, the Duke, my father, so thou hadst been still with me, I could have taught my love to take thy father for mine. So wouldst thou, if the truth of thy love to me were so righteously tempered as mine is to thee.
Well, I will forget the condition of my estate to rejoice in yours.
You know my father hath no child but I, nor none like to have, and truly when he dies, thou shalt be his heir. For what he hath taken away from thy father perforce, I will render thee again in affection. Bind mine honor I will, and when I break this oath, let me turn monster. Therefore, my sweet Rose, my dear Rose, be merry.
From henceforth I will, cuz, and devise sport. Oh, let me see. What think you of falling in love?
Merry, pretty, I'll do to make sport withal. But love no man in good earnest, nor no further in sport neither, than with the safety of a pure blush, thou mayst in honor come off again.
What shall be our sport then?
Let us sit and mock the good huswife Fortune from her wheel, that her gifts may henceforth be bestowed equally.
I would we could do so, for her benefits are mightily misplaced, and the bountiful blind woman doth most mistake in her gifts to women.
'Tis true. For those that she makes fair, she scarce makes honest, and those that she makes honest, she makes very ill-favoredly.
Nay, now thou goest from Fortune's office to Nature's. Fortune reigns in gifts of the world, not in the lineaments of nature.
No,
Um,
when nature hath made a fair creature, may she not by fortune fall into the fire? Though nature hath given us wit to flout at fortune, hath not fortune sent in this fool to cut off the argument?
Indeed, there is fortune too hard for nature, when fortune makes nature's natural the cutter off of nature's wit.
Peradventure, this is not fortune's work neither, but nature's, who perceiveth our natural wits too dull to reason of such goddesses, hath sent this natural for our whetstone. For always the dullness of the fool is the whetstone of the wits. How now, wit, whither wander you?
Mistress, you must come away to your father.
Were you made the messenger?
No, by mine honor, but I was bid to come for you.
Where learned you that oath, fool?
Oh, of a certain knight that swore by his honor they were good pancakes, and swore by his honor the mustard was not. Now, I'll stand to it, the pancakes were not, and the mustard was good, and yet was the knight forsworn?
How prove you that in the great heap of your knowledge?
I marry, now unmuzzle your wisdom.
And you both forth now. Chins, and swear by your beards that I am a knave.
By our beards, if we had them, thou art.
By my knavery, if I had it, then I were. But if you swear by that, that is not. You are not forsworn. No more was this knight swearing by his honor, for he never had any. Or if he had sworn it away before ever he saw those pancakes or, oh, that mustard.
Prithee, who is it thou meanst?
One that old Frederick, your father, loves.
My father's love is enough to honor him, enough. Speak no more of him. You'll be whipped for taxation one of these days.
For pity the fools may not speak wisely what wise men do foolishly.
By my troth, thou sayest true. For since the little wit that fools have was silenced, the little foolery that wise men has makes a great show. Here comes Monsieur the Beau.
With his mouth full of news.
Which he will put upon us as pigeons feed their young.
Then shall we be news crammed.
All the better. We shall be more marketable. Bonjour, Monsieur le Beau. What's the news?
Fair princess, you have lost much good sport.
Sport? Of what color?
What color, madam? How shall I answer you?
As wit and fortune will.
Or as the destinies decrees.
Well said. That was laid on with a trowel.
If I keep not my rank.
Thou losest thy old smell.
You amaze me, ladies. I would have told you of good wrestling, which you have lost the sight of.
Yet tell us the manner of the wrestling.
I will tell you the beginning, and if it please your ladyships, you may see the end, for the best is yet to do, and here where you are, they are coming to perform it.
Oh, well, the beginning that is dead and buried.
Here comes an old man and his 3 sons.
I could match this beginning with an old tale.
3 proper young men of excellent growth and presence.
With bills on their necks, be it known to all men by these presents.
The eldest of the 3 wrestled with Charles, the Duke's wrestler, which Charles in a moment threw him and broke 3 of his ribs, that there is little hope of life in him. So he served the second, and so the third. Yonder they lie, the poor old man, their father, making such pitiful dole over them, that all the beholders take his part with weeping.
Alas!
But what is the sport, monsieur, that the ladies have lost?
Why, this that I speak of.
Us men may grow wiser every day. This is the first time that ever I heard of breaking of ribs was sport for ladies.
Nor I promise thee.
But is there any else longs to see these broken music in his sides? Is there yet another dotes upon rib breaking? Shall we see this wrestling, cousin?
You must if you stay here, for here is the place appointed for the wrestling, and they are ready to perform it.
Yonder, sure, they are coming. Let us now stay and see it.
Flourish, enter the Duke, Lords, Orlando, Charles, and attendants.
Come on, since the youth will not be entreated at his own peril on his forwardness.
Is yonder the man?
Even he, madame.
Alas, he is too young, yet he looks successfully.
How now, daughter and cousin, are you crept hither to see the wrestling?
Aye, my liege. So please you give us leave.
You will take little delight in it. I can tell you there is such odds in the man. In pity of the challenger's youth, I would fain dissuade him, but he will not be entreated. Speak to him, ladies. See if you can move him.
Call him hither, good Monsieur Le Beau.
Do so. I'll not be by.
Monsieur the challenger, the princess calls for you.
I attend them with all respect and duty.
Young man, have you challenged Charles the wrestler?
No, fair princess. He is the general challenger. I come but in as others do, to try him with the strength of my youth.
Young gentlemen, your spirits are too bold for your years. You have seen cruel proof of this man's strengths if you saw yourself with your eyes or knew yourself with your judgment. The fear of your adventure would counsel you in a more equal enterprise. We pray for your own sake to embrace your own safety and give over this attempt.
Do, young sir. Your reputation shall not therefore be misprized. We will make it our suit to the Duke that the wrestling must not go forward.
I beseech you, punish me not with your hard thoughts, wherein I confess me much guilty to deny so fair and excellent ladies anything. But let your fair eyes and gentle wishes go with me to my trial, wherein if I be foiled, there is but one shamed that was never gracious. If killed, but one dead that is willing to be so. I shall do my friends no wrong, for I have none to lament me. The world no injury, for in it I have nothing. Only, if the world I fill up a place, which may be better supplied when I have made it empty.
The little strength that I have, I would it were with you.
And mine to eke out hers.
Fare you well. Praise heaven be deceived in you.
Your heart's desire be with you.
Come, where is this young gallant that is so desirous to lie with his mother earth?
Ready, sir, but his will hath in it a more modest working.
You shall try but one fall.
No, I warrant your grace, you shall not entreat him to a second that have so mightily persuaded him from a first.
You mean to mock me after, you should not have mocked me before. Come your ways.
Now, Hercules, be thy speed, young man.
I would I were invisible to catch the strong fellow by the leg.
They wrestle.
Oh, excellent young man.
If I had a thunderbolt in my neat eye, I can tell who should down.
No more. No more.
Yes, I beseech your grace, I am not yet well breathed.
How dost thou, Charles?
He cannot speak, my lord.
Bear him away. What is thy name, young man?
Orlando, my liege, the youngest son of Sir Roland de Boys.
Wouldst thou had been son to some man else. The world esteemed thy father honorable, but I did find him still mine enemy. Thou shouldst have better pleased me with this deed hadst thou descended from another house. But fare thee well, thou art a gallant youth. Would thou hadst told me of another father.
Exit the Duke.
Were I my father, coz, would I do this?
I am more proud to be Sir Roland's son, his youngest son. It would not change that calling to be adopted heir to Frederick.
My father loved Sir Roland as his soul, and all the world was of my father's mind. Had I before known this young man his son, I should have given him tears into entreaties ere he should thus have ventured.
And so, cousin, let us go thank him and encourage him. My father's rough and envious disposition sticks me at heart. Sir, you have well deserved if you do keep your promises in love, but justly you have exceeded all promise. Your mistress shall be happy.
Gentlemen, wear this for me. One out of suits with fortune that could give more, but that her hand lacks means. Shall we go, coz? There you go, fair gentlemen.
Can I not say I thank you? My better parts are all thrown down, and that which here stands up is but a quintine, a mere liveless block.
He calls us back. My pride fell with my fortunes. I'll ask him what he would. Did you call, sir? Sir, you have wrestled well and overthrown more than your enemies.
Will you go, coz?
Have with you. Fare you well.
What passion hangs these weights upon my tongue? I cannot speak to her, yet she urged conference.
LeBeau.
Oh, poor Orlando, thou art overthrown, or Charles, or something weaker masters thee.
Good sir, I do in friendship counsel you to leave this place, albeit you have deserved high commendation, true applause, and love. Yet such is now the Duke's condition that he misconstrues all that you have done. The Duke is humorous, what he is indeed, more suits you to conceive than I could speak of.
I thank you, sir, and pray you tell me this, which of the two was daughter of the Duke, that here was at the wrestling?
Neither his daughter, if we judge by manners, but yet indeed the taller is his daughter, the other is daughter to the banished Duke, and here detained by her usurping uncle to keep his daughter company, whose loves are dearer than the natural bond of sisters. But I can tell you that of late this Duke hath ta'en displeasure against his gentle niece, grounded upon no other argument but that the people praise her for her virtues and pity her for her good father's sake, and on my life his malice against the lady will suddenly break forth. Sir, fare you well. Hereafter in a better world than this, I should desire more love and knowledge of you.
I rest much bonded to you. Fare you well. Thus must I from the smoke into the smother, from tyrant Duke unto a tyrant brother. But heavenly Rosaline.
He exits. Scene 3. Enter Celia and Rosalind.
Why, cousin, why, Rosaline? Cupid have mercy. Not a word?
Not one to throw at a dog.
No, thy words are too precious to be cast away upon curs. Throw some of them at me.
Then there were
Lay me with reasons.
Then there were two cousins laid up, when the one should be lamed with reasons and the other mad without any.
But is all of this for your father?
No, some of it is for my child's father. Oh, how full of briars is this working day world?
They're but burrs, cousin, thrown upon the holiday foolery. If we walk not in the trodden paths, our very petticoats will catch them.
I could shake them off my coat. These burrs are in my heart.
Hem them away.
I would try if I could cry hem and have him.
Come, wrestle with your affections.
Oh, they take the part of a better wrestler than myself.
Oh, a good wish upon you. You will try in time in despite of a fall. But turning these jests out of service, let us talk in good earnest. Is it possible on such a sudden you should fall into so strong a liking with old Sir Roland's youngest son?
The Duke, my father, loved his father dearly.
Doth it therefore ensue that you should love his son dearly? By this kind of chase, I should hate him, for my father hated his father dearly, yet I hate not Orlando.
No, Faith, hate him not for my sake.
Why should I not? Doth he not deserve, well...
Enter Duke with lords.
Let me love him for that, and do you love him because I do. Look, here comes the Duke.
With his eyes full of anger.
Mistress, dispatch you with your safest haste, and get you from our court.
Me, uncle.
You, cousin. Within these 10 days, if that thou beest found so near our public court as 20 miles, thou diest for it.
I do beseech your grace. Let me the knowledge of my fault bear with me. If with myself I hold intelligence or have acquaintance with mine own desires, if that I do not dream or be not frantic as I do trust I am not, then dear uncle, never so much as in a thought unborn did I offend your highness.
Thus do all traitors. If their purgation did consist in words, they are as innocent as grace itself. Let it suffice thee that I trust thee not.
Yet your mistrust cannot make me a traitor. Tell me whereon the likelihood depends.
Thou art thy father's daughter. There's enough.
So was I when your highness took his dukedom. So was I when your highness banished him. Treason is not inherited, my lord, or if we did derive it from our friends, what's that to me? My father was no traitor. Then could my liege mistake me not so much to think my poverty is treacherous?
Dear sovereign, hear me speak.
Aye, Celia, we stayed her for your sake, else she with her father ranged along.
I did not then entreat to have her stay. It was your pleasure and your own remorse. I was too young that time to value her, but now I know her. If she be a traitor, why, so am I. We still have slept together, rose at an instant, learned, played, eat together, and wheresoever we went, like Juno's swans, still we went, coupled and inseparable.
She is too subtle for thee, and her smoothness, her very silence, and her patience speak to the people, and they pity her. Thou art a fool. She robs thee of thy name, and thou wilt show more bright and seem more virtuous when she is gone. Then open not thy lips firm, and irrevocable is my doom, which I have passed upon her. She is banished.
Pronounce that sentence then on me, my liege. I cannot live out of her company.
You are a fool. You, niece, provide yourself. If you outstay the time, upon mine honor and in the greatness of my word, you die.
Exit the Duke.
Oh, poor Rosaline, whither wilt thou go? Wilt thou change fathers? I will give thee mine. I charge thee, be not thou more grieved than I am.
I have more cause.
Thou hast not, cousin. Prithee, be cheerful. Nowst thou know that the Duke hath banished me his daughter?
That he hath not.
No, hath not? Rosalind lacks then the love which teaches thee that thou and I am one. Shall we be sundered? Shall we part, sweet girl? No, let my father seek another heir. Therefore, devise with me how we may fly, whether to go, and what to bear with us, and do not seek to take your change upon you, to bear your griefs yourself and leave me out. For by this heaven, now at our sorrow's pale, say what thou canst, I'll go along with thee.
Why, whither shall we go?
To seek mine uncle in the forest of Arden.
Alas, what danger will it be to us, maids, as we are to travel forth so far? Beauty provoketh thieves sooner than gold.
I'll put myself in poor and mean attire, and with a kind of umber besmirch my face. The like do you, so we shall pass along and never stir assailants.
Were it not better, because that I am more than common tall, that I did suit me all points like a man, a gallant curtalax upon my thigh, a boar spear in my hand, and in my heart lie there what hidden women's fear their will. We'll have a swashing and a martial outside, as many other mannish cowards have that do outface it with their semblances.
What shall I call thee when thou art a man?
I'll have no worse a name than Jove's own page, and therefore, look, you call me Ganymede. But what shall you be called?
Something that has a reference to my state. No longer Celia, but Aliena.
But cousin, what if we said to steal the clownish fool out of your father's court? Would he not be comfortable to our travel?
He'll go along the wide world with me. Leave me alone to woo him. Let's away and get our jewels and our wealth together. Devise the fittest time and safest way to hide us from pursuit that will be made after my flight. Now go in we, content to liberty and not to banishment.
Act 2, Scene 1. Enter Duke Senior, Aemons, and 2 or 3 lords like foresters.
Now, my co-mates and brothers in exile, hath not old custom made this life more sweet than that of painted pomp? Are not these woods more free from peril than the envious court? Here feel we not the penalty of Adam, the season's difference as the icy fange and churlish chiding of the winter's wind, which when it bites and blows upon my body, even till I shrink with cold, I smile and say this is no flattery. These are counselors that feelingly persuade me what I am. Sweet are the uses of adversity, which, like the toad, ugly and venomous, wears yet a precious jewel in his head. And this, our life, exempt from public haunt, finds tongues in trees, books in the running brooks, sermons in stones, and good in everything.
I would not change it. Happy is your grace that can translate the stubbornness of fortune to so quiet and sweet a style.
Come, shall we go and kill us venison? Oh, and yet it irks me, the poor dappled fools, being native burghers of this desert city, should in their own confines with forked heads have their round haunches gored.
Indeed, my lord, the melancholy Jaques grieves at that, and in the kind swears that you do most usurp, and doth your brother that hath banished you. Today, my lord of Amons and myself did steal behind him as he lay along under an oak whose antique roots peeped out upon the brook that brawls along this wood, to the which place a poor sequestered stag that from the hunter's aim had ta'en a hurt, did come to languish. And indeed, my lord, the wretched animal heaved forth such groans that their discharge did stretch his leathern coat almost to bursting, and the big round tears coursed another down his innocent nose in a piteous chase. And thus the hairy fool, much marked of the melancholy Jaques, stood on the extremest verge of the swift brook, augmenting it with tears.
But what said Jaques? Did he not moralize this spectacle?
Oh, yes, into 1,000 similes. First, for his weeping into the needless stream. Poor dear, quoth he, thou makest a testament as worldlings do, giving thy sum of more to that which had too much. Then being there alone, left and abandoned with his velvet friend, 'tis right, quoth he, thus misery doth part the flukes of company. Anon a careless herd full of pasture jumps along by him and never stays to greet him. I quoth Jaques, sweep upon you fat and greasy citizens, 'tis just the fashion. Wherefore do you look upon that poor and broken bankrupt there? Thus most invectively he pierced through the body of country, city, court, yea, and of this our life, swearing that we are mere usurpers, tyrants, and what's worse, to fright the animals, to kill them up in their assigned and native dwelling place.
And did you leave him in this contemplation?
We did, my lord, weeping and commenting upon the sobbing deer.
Show me the place. I love to cope him in these sullen fits, for then he's full of matter.
I'll bring you to him straight.
Exit. Scene 2. Enter Duke with lords.
Can it be possible that no man saw them? It cannot be. Some villains of my court are of consent and sufferance in this.
I cannot hear of any that did see her. The ladies and her attendants of her chamber saw her abed, and in the morning early they found the bed untreasured of their mistress.
My lord, the Roynish clown, at whom so oft your grace was ought to laugh, is also missing. Hesperia, the princess gentlewoman, confesses that she secretly o'erheard your daughter and her cousin much commend the parts and graces of the wrestler that did but lately foil the snowy Charles, and she believes wherever they are gone that youth is surely in their company.
Send to his brother. Fetch that gallant hither. If he be absent, bring his brother to me. I'll make him find him. Do this suddenly. And let not search and inquisition quail to bring again these foolish runaways.
Exit. Scene 3. Enter Orlando and Adam.
Who's there?
What, my young master? Oh, my gentle master. Oh, my sweet master. Oh, you memory of old Sir Rowland. Why, what make you here? Why are you virtuous? Why do people love you? And wherefore are you gentle, strong, and valiant? Why would you be so fond to overcome the bonny pricer of the humorous Duke? Your praises come too swiftly home before you. Know you not, master, to seem kind of men? Their graces serve them but as enemies, no more do yours. Your virtues, gentle master, are sanctified and holy traitors to you. Oh, what a world is this, one that is comely envenoms him that bears it.
Why, what's the matter?
Oh, unhappy youth, come not within these doors, within this roof. The enemy of all your graces lives, your brother, no brother, yet the son, yet not the son. I will not call him son. Of him I was about to call his father. Hath heard your praises, and this night he means to burn the lodging where you used to lie, and you within it. If he fail of that, he will have other means to cut you off. I overheard him and his practices. There is no place. This house is but a butchery. Abhor it, fear it, do not enter it.
Why, whither, Adam, wouldst thou have me go?
No matter whether, so you come not here.
What, wouldst thou have me go and beg my food, or with a base and boisterous sword enforce a thievish living on the common road? This I must do, or know not what to do. Yet this I will do how I can. I rather will subject me to the malice of a diverted blood and bloody brother.
But do not so. I have 500 crowns. The thrifty hire I saved under your father, which I did store to be my foster nurse, when service should be in my old limbs lie lame, and unregarded age in corners thrown. Take that, and he that doth the ravens feed, yea, providently caters for the sparrow. Be comfort to my age. Here is the gold. All this I give you. Let me be your servant. Though I look old, yet I am strong and lusty. For in my youth I never did apply hot and rebellious liquors in my blood, nor did not with unbashful forehead woe this means of weakness and debility. Therefore my age is as a lusty winter, frosty, but kindly. Let me go with you. I'll do the service of a younger man in all your business and necessities.
Oh, good old man. How well in thee appears the constant service of the antique world, when service sweat for duty, not for meed. Thou art not for the fashion of these times, where none will sweat but for promotion, and having that, do choke their service up. Even with the having, it is not so with thee. But poor old man, thou prunest a rotten tree, that cannot so much as a blossom yield, in lieu of all thy pains and husbandry. But come thy ways, we'll go along together, and ere we have thy youthful wages spent, we'll light upon some settled low content.
Master, go on, and I will follow thee to the last gasp with truth and loyalty. From 70 years till now, almost 80, here lived I, but now live here no more. At 17 years, many their fortunes seek, but at 80 it is too late a week. Yet fortune cannot recompense me better than to die well, and not my master's debtor.
The exit. Scene 4. Enter Rosalind for Ganymede, Celia for Alania, and a clown alias Touchstone.
Oh, Jupiter, how merry are my spirits.
I care not for my spirits if my legs were not weary.
I could find in my heart to disgrace my man's apparel and to cry like a woman, but I must comfort the weaker vessel, as doublet and hose ought to show itself courageous to petticoat. Therefore, courage, good Aliena.
I pray you, bear me. I can go no further.
For my part, I had rather bear with you than bear you. Yet I should bear no cross if I did bear you, for I think you have no money in your purse.
Well, this is the forest of Arden.
Now am I in Arden. The more fool I. When I was at home, I was in a better place. But travelers must be content. Enter Corn and Sylvius.
Aye, be so, good Touchstone. Look you, who comes here, a young man and an old in solemn talk?
That is the way to make her scorn you still.
Oh, Corin, thou knowest thou knowest how I do love her.
I partly guess, for I have loved ere now.
No, Corin. Being old, thou canst not guess, though in thy youth thou wast as true a lover as ever sighed upon a midnight pillow. But if thy love were ever like to mine, as sure I think did never man love so. How many actions most ridiculous hast thou been drawn to by thy fantasy?
Into 1,000 that I have forgotten.
Oh, thou did never love so heartily if thou rememberest not the slightest folly that ever did love make thee run into, thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not said, as I do now, wearying thy hearer in thy mistress' praise, thou hast not loved. Or if thou hast not broke from company abruptly as my passion now makes me now, thou hast not loved. Oh, Phoebe, Phoebe, Phoebe!
Oh, alas, poor shepherd, searching of thy wound, I have by hard adventure found my own.
And I mind. I remember when I was in love. I broke my sword upon a stone and bid him take that for coming a night to Jane's smile. And I remember the kissing of her battler and the cow dugs that her pretty chopped hands had milked. And I remember the wooing of a peas cod instead of her, from whom I took 2 cods, and giving her them again, said with weeping tears, wear these for my sake. We that are true lovers run into strange capers. But all is mortal in nature, so is all nature in love mortal in folly.
Thou speakest wiser than thou art ware of.
Nay, I shall be nary aware of mine own wit, till I break my shins against it.
Jove, Jove, this shepherd's passion is much upon my fashion.
And mine, but it grows something stale with me.
I pray you, one of you question yond man. If he for gold will give us any food, I faint almost to death.
Hola, you, clown.
Peace, fool, he's not thy kinsman.
Who calls?
For better, sir.
Else it'd be very wretched.
Peace, I say. Good even to you, friend.
Oh, and to you, gentle sir, and to you all.
I prithee, shepherd, if that love or gold can in this desert place buy entertainment, bring us where we may rest ourselves and feed. Here's a young maid with travel much oppressed and faints for succor.
Ah, fair sir, I pity her, and wish for her sake more than for mine own my fortunes were more able to relieve her. But I am a shepherd to another man, and do not shear the fleeces that I graze. My master is of a churlish disposition, and little reeks to find the way to heaven by doing deeds of hospitality. Besides his coat, his flocks and bounds of feed are now on sale, and at our sheepcote now, by reason of his absence, there is nothing that you will feed on. But what is, come see, and in my voice most welcome shall you be.
What is he that shall buy his flock and pasture?
That young swain that you saw here but ere while, that little cares for buying anything.
I pray thee, if it stand with honesty, buy thou the cottage, pasture, and the flock, and thou shalt have to pay for it of us.
And we will mend thy wages. I like this place, and willingly could waste my time in it.
Assuredly, the thing is to be sold. Go with me. If you like, upon report, the soil, the profit, and this kind of life, I will your very faithful feeder be, and buy it with your gold right suddenly.
They exit. Scene 4. Enter Aemons, Jaques, and others.
Under the greenwood tree, who loves to lie with me and tune his merry note unto that sweet bird's throat. Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see no enemy, but winter and rough weather.
More, more, I prithee more.
It will make you melancholy, Monsieur Jaques.
I thank it. More, I prithee more. I can suck melancholy out of a song as a weasel sucks eggs. More, I prithee more.
My voice is ragged. I know I cannot please you.
I do not desire you to please me. I do desire you to sing. Come on, another stanzo. Call you 'em stanzos?
What you will, Monsieur Jaques.
Nay, I care not for their names. They owe me nothing. Would you sing?
More at your request than to please myself.
Well, then, if ever I thank any man, I'll thank you. But that they call compliment is like the encounter of two dog apes. And when a man thanks me heartily, methinks I have given him a penny, and he renders me the beggarly thanks. Come, sing, and you that will not, hold your tongues.
Well, I'll end the song. Sirs, cover the while, the Duke will drink under this tree. He hath been all this day to look you.
And I have been all this day to avoid him. He is too disputable for my company. I think of as many matters as he, but I give heaven thanks and make no boast of them. Come, warble, come.
Who doth ambition shun? Who loves to live in the sun, seeking the food that he eats and is pleased with what he gets? Come hither, come hither, come hither. Here shall he see.
I'll give you a verse to this note that I made yesterday in despite of my invention.
And I'll sing it.
Thus it goes. If it do come to pass that any man turn ass, leaving his wealth and ease, a stubborn will to please. Duke dame, Duke dame, Duke dame. Here shall he see, gross fools is he, and if he will come to me.
What's that, Duke to me?
'Tis a Greek invocation to call fools into a circle. I'll go to sleep if I can. If I cannot, I'll rail against all the firstborn of Egypt.
And I'll go seek the Duke. His blanket is prepared.
They exit. Scene 6. Enter Orlando and Adam.
Dear master, I can go no further. Oh, I die for food. Here, lie I down and measure out my grave. Farewell, kind master.
Why, how now, Adam? No greater heart in thee. Live a little, comfort a little, cheer thyself a little. If this uncouth forest yield anything savage, I will either be food for it or bring it for food to thee. Thy conceit is nearer death than thy powers. For my sake be comfortable. Hold death a while at the arm's end. I will here be with thee presently, and if I bring thee not something to eat, I will give thee leave to die. But if thou diest before I come, thou art a mocker of my labor. Well said. Thou look'st cheerily, and I'll be with thee quickly. Yet thou liest in the bleak air. Come, I will bear thee to some shelter, and thou shalt not die for lack of a dinner if there live anything in this desert. Cheerly, good Adam.
Exit. Scene 7. Enter Duke Senior and Lord.
I think he be transformed into a beast, for I can nowhere find him like a man.
My lord, he is but even now gone hence. Here was he merry, hearing of a song.
If he compact of jars grow musical, we shall have shortly discord in the spheres. Go seek him, tell him I would speak with him.
Enter Jaques. Oh, he saves my labor by his own approach.
Why, how now, monsieur? What a life is this, that your poor friends must woe your company? What, you look merrily?
A fool, a fool. I met a fool in the forest, a motley fool, a miserable world. As I do live by food, I met a fool who laid him down and basked him in the sun and railed on Lady Fortune in good terms, in good set terms, and yet a motley fool. Good morrow, fool, quoth I. No, sir, quoth he. Call me not fool, to heaven hath sent me fortune. And then he drew a dial from his poke, and looking on it, with lackluster eye, says very wisely, it is 10 o'clock. Says very wisely, thus we may see, quoth he, how the world wags. 'Tis but an hour ago since it was 9, and after 1 hour more, 'twill be 11. And so from hour to hour we ripen, from hour to hour we rot and rot, and thereby hangs a tale. When I did hear that motley fool thus morrow on the time, my lungs began to crow like Chanticleer. That fools should be so deep contemplative, and I did laugh, sans intermission, an hour by his dial. O noble fool, a worthy fool, motley's the only wear.
What fool is this?
O worthy fool, one that has been a courtier and says, if ladies be but young and fair, they have the gift to know it. And in his brain, which is as dry as the remainder biscuit after a voyage, he hath strange places crammed with observation, the which events in mangled forms. Oh, that I were a fool, I am ambitious for a motley coat.
Thou shalt have one.
It is my only suit, provided that you weed your better judgments of all opinion that grows rank in them, that I am wise. I must have liberty withal, as large a charter as the wind, to blow on whom I please, for so fools have. And they that are most galled with my folly, they most must laugh. And why, sir, must they so? The why is plain as way to parish church. He that a fool doth very wisely hit, doth very foolishly, although he smart, seems senseless of the mob. If not, the wise man's folly is anathemized, even by the squandering glances of the fool. Invest me in my motley, give me leave to speak my mind, and I will through and through cleanse the foul body of the infected world, if they will patiently receive my medicine.
Fie on thee. I can tell what thou wouldst do.
What for a counter would I do but good?
Most mischievous foul sin, in chiding sin. For thou thyself hast been a libertine, as sensual as the brutish sting itself, and all the embossed sores and headed evils that thou with license of free foot hast caught, wouldst thou disgorge into the general world.
Why, who cries out on pride, that can therein tax any private party? Doth it not flow as hugely as the sea, till that the wary very means do ebb? What woman in the city do I name, when that I say the city woman bears the cost of princes on unworthy shoulders? Who can come in and say that I mean her, when such a one as she, such is her neighbor? Or what is he of basest function, that says his bravery is not on my cost, thinking that I mean him, but therein suits his folly to the metal of my speech? There then, how then, what then? Let me see wherein my tongue hath wronged him. If it do him right, then he hath wronged himself. If he be free, why then my taxing like a wild goose flies unclaimed of any man? But who comes here?
Enter Orlando.
Forbear and eat no more,
Why, I have eaten none yet.
nor shalt not, till necessity be served.
Of what kind should this cock come of?
Art thou thus boldened, man, by thy distress? Or else a rude despiser of good manners, that in civility thou seemst so empty?
You touched my vein at first, the thorny point of bare distress hath ta'en from me the shoe of my smooth civility. Yet I am inland bred, and know some nurture. But forbear, I say he dies that touches any of this fruit, till I and my affairs are answered.
And you will not be answered with reason. I must die.
What would you have? Your gentleness shall force, more than your force, move us to gentleness.
I almost die for food, and let me have it.
Sit down and feed, and welcome to our table.
Speak you so gently? Pardon me, I pray you. I thought that all things had been savage here, and therefore put I on the countenance of stern commandment. But whate'er you are, that in this desert inaccessible, under the shade of melancholy boughs, loose and neglect the creeping hours of time. If ever you have looked on better days, if ever been where bells have knolled to church, if ever sat at any good man's feast, if ever from your eyelids whipped a tear, and know what 'tis to pity and be pitied, let gentleness my strong enforcement be, in the which hope I blush and hide my sword.
True is it that we have seen better days, and have with holy bell been knolled to church, and sat at good men's feast, and wiped our eyes of drops that sacred pity hath engendered. And therefore sit you down in gentleness, and take upon command what help we have, that to your wanting may be ministered.
Then but forbear your food a little while, whiles like a doe I go find my fawn and give it food. There is an old poor man who after me hath many a weary step limped in pure love, till he but first sufficed, oppressed with two weak evils, age and hunger. I will not touch a bit.
Go find him out, and we will nothing waste till you return.
I thank ye, and be blessed for your good comfort.
Thou seest, we are not all alone unhappy. This wide and universal theater presents more woeful pageants than the scene wherein we play it.
All the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts, his acts being 7 ages. At first, the infant, mewling and puking in the nurse's arms. Then the whining schoolboy with his satchel and shining morning face, creeping like snail unwillingly to school. And then the lover, sighing like furnace, with a woeful ballad made to his mistress' eyebrow. Then a soldier, full of strange oaths, and bearded like the pard, jealous in honor, sodden and quick in quarrel, seeking to bubble reputation, even in the cannon's mouth. And then the justice, in fair round belly, with good cape and lined, with eyes severe, and beard of formal cut, full of wise saws and modern instances. And so he plays his part. The 6th age shifts into the lean and slippered pantaloon, with spectacles on nose and pouch on side. His youthful hose well saved, a world too wide for his shrunk shank, and his big manly voice turning again toward childish treble, pipes and whistles in his sound. Last scene of all, that ends this strange, eventful history, is second childishness and mere oblivion. Sans teeth, sans eyes, sans taste, sans everything.
Enter Orlando with Adam.
Welcome. Set down your venerable burthen and let him feed.
I thank you most for him.
So had you need, I scarce can speak to thank you for myself.
Welcome, fall to. I will not trouble you as yet to question you about your fortunes. Give us some music, and good cousin, sing.
Blow, blow, thou winter wide, thou art not so unkind as man's ingratitude. Thy tooth is not so keen, because thou art not seen, although thy breath be rude. Hi ho, sing hi ho, unto the green holly. Most friendship is feigning, most loving mere folly. The hi ho, the holly, this life is most jolly. Freeze, freeze, thou bitter sky, that dost not bright so nigh, as benefits forgot Though thou the waters warp, thy sting is not so sharp, as friend remembered not. Sing hi ho, sing.
If that you were the good Sir Rowland's son, as you have whispered faithfully you were, and as mine eye doth his effigies witness, most truly limed and living in your face, be truly welcome hither. I am the Duke that loved your father, the residue of your fortune. Go to my cave and tell me. Good old man, thou art right welcome, as thy master's is. Support him by the arm, give me your hand, and let me all your fortunes understand.
Exit. Act 3, Scene 1. Enter Duke Frederick, Lords, and Oliver.
Not see him since, sir. Sir, that cannot be. But were I not the better part made mercy, I should not seek an absent argument of my revenge thou present. But look to it. Find out thy brother wheresoe'er he is. Seek him with the candle. Bring him dead, or living, within this 12 month, or turn thou no more to seek a living in our territory. Thy lands and all things that thou dost call thine, worth seizure, do we seize into our hands, till thou canst quit thee by thy brother's mouth of what we think against thee.
That your highness knew my heart in this. I never loved my brother in my life.
More villain thou. We'll push him out of doors, and let my officers of such a nature make an extent upon his house and lands. Do this expediently, and turn him going.
Exit. Scene 2. Enter Orlando.
Hang there, my verse in witness of my love. And thou, thrice crowned queen of night, survey with thy chaste eye from thy pale sphere above thy huntress name, that my full life doth sway. Oh, Rosalind, these trees shall be my books, and in their barks my thoughts I'll character, that every eye which in this forest looks shall see thy virtue witness everywhere. Run, run, Orlando, carve on every tree the fair, the chaste, and unexpressive she.
He exits. Enter Corin and the clown.
And how like you this shepherd's life, Mr. Touchstone?
Truly, shepherd, in respect of itself, it is a good life. But in respect that it is a shepherd's life, it is not. In respect that it is solitary, I like it very well. But in respect that it is private, it's a very vile life. Now, in respect it is in the fields, it pleaseth me well. But in respect it is not in the courts, it is tedious. As it is a pair, like, look you, it fits my humor well. But as there is no more plenty in it, it goes much against my stomach. Hast any philosophy in thee, shepherd?
No more. But then I know the more one sickens, the worse at ease he is. And that he that wants money, means, and content is without 3 good friends. That the property of rain is to wet, and fire to burn. The good pasture makes fat sheep, and that a great cause of the night is the lack of the sun. That he that hath learned no wit by nature nor art may complain of good breeding, or comes of a very dull kindred.
Such a one is a natural philosopher. Shepherd?
No, truly.
Thou art damned.
I hope.
Truly thou art damned, like an ill-roasted egg, all on one side.
For not being at court. Your reason?
Why, if thou never wast at court, thou never sawest good manners. If thou never sawest good manners, then thy manners must be wicked, and wickedness is a sin, and sin is damnation. Thou art in a parlous state, shepherd.
Not a whit, Touchstone. Those that are good manners at the court are as ridiculous in the country as the behavior of the country is most mockable at the court. You told me You salute not at the court, but you kiss your hands. Well, that courtesy would be uncleanly if courtiers were shepherds.
Instance, briefly, come. Instance.
Why, we are still handling our ewes, and their fells, are greasy.
Why do not your courtiers' hands sweat? And is not the grease of a mutton as wholesome as the sweat of a man? Shallow, a better instance, I say. Come.
Besides, our hands are hard.
Your lips will feel them sooner. Shallow, again, a more sounder instance. Come.
And they are often tarred over with the surgery of our sheep. And would you have us kiss tar? The courtier's hands are perfumed with civet.
Most shallow man, thou worm's meat in respect of a good piece of flesh indeed. Learn of the wise and perpend. Civet is a baser birth than tar, the very uncleanly flux of a cat. Mend the instance, shepherd.
You have too courtly a wit for me. I'll rest.
Rest, damned. Oh, God, help thee, shallow man. God make incision in thee. Thou art raw.
Sir, I am a true laborer. I earn that I eat, yet that I wear. Oh, no man hate, envy no man's happiness. I'm glad of other men's good, content with my harm. And the greatest of my pride is to see my ewes graze and my lambs suck.
That is another simple sin in you, to bring the ewes and the rams together, and to offer to get your living by the copulation of cattle, to be bought to a bellwether, and to betray a sheep lamb of 12-month to a crooked-pated old cuck-only ram out of all reasonable match. If thou beest not damned for this, the devil himself will have no shepherds. I cannot see else how thou should scape.
Hey, here comes young Mr. Ganymede, my new mistress's brother.
Come hither, come hither. From the east to western Ind, no jewel is like Rosalind. Her worth being mounted on the wind, through all the world bears Rosalind. All the pictures fairest lined are but black to Rosalind. Let no face be kept in mind but the fair of Rosalind.
I'll rhyme you so, 8 years together. Dinners and suppers and sleeping hours expected. It is the right butter woman's rank to market.
Out, fool.
For a taste. If a heart do lack a hind, let him seek out Rosalind. If the people after kind, so be sure will Rosalind. Wintered garments must be lined, so must slender Rosalind. They that reap must sheaf and bind, then to cart with Rosalind. Oh, sweetest nut, hath sourest rind, such a nut. Is Rosalind. He that sweetest rose will find, must find love's prick and Rosalind. This is the very false gallop of verses. Why do you infect yourself with them?
Peace, you dull fool. I found them on a tree.
Surely the tree yields bad fruit.
I'll graph it with you, and then I shall graph it with Medlar. Then it will be the earliest fruit in the country, for you'll be rotten ere you be half ripe, and that's the right virtue of the Medlar.
You have said, but whether wisely or no, let the forest judge.
Peace. Here comes my sister reading. Stand aside.
Why should this desert be, for it is unpeopled? No, tongues I'll hang on every tree that shall civil sayings show. Some how brief the life of man runs his erring pilgrimage, that the stretching of a span buckles in his some of age, pilgrimage, age? Some violated verses twixt the souls of friend and friends, but upon the fairest boughs or at every sentence end, will I Rosalinda write? teaching all that read to know the quintessence of every sprite heaven would in little show. Therefore, heaven, nature charged that one body should be filled with all graces wide enlarged. Nature presently distilled Helen's cheek, but not her heart, Cleopatra's majesty, Atalanta's better part, sad Lucretia's modesty. Thus, Rosalind, of many parts, by heavenly synod was devised, of many faces, eyes, and hearts, to have the touches dearest prized. Heaven would that she these gifts should have, and I to live and die her slave.
Oh, most
Slave?
gentle Jupiter! Oh, what tedious homily of love have you wearied your parishioners withal, and never cried, "Have patience, good people."
Back, friends. Shepherd, go off a little. Go with him, sirrah.
Come, shepherd, let us make an honorable retreat, though not with bag and baggage, yet with scrip and scrippage.
Didst thou hear these verses?
Oh, yes, I heard them all and more too, for some of them had in them more feet than the verses would bear.
That's no matter. The feet might bear your verses.
Aye, but the feet were lame and could not bear themselves without the verse, and therefore stood lamely in the verse.
But didst thou hear, without wondering, how thy name should be hanged and carved upon these trees?
I was 7 of the 9 days out of the wonder before you came. For look here, what I found on a palm tree. I was never so berimed since Pythagoras' time that I was an Irish rat, which I can hardly remember.
Trow you. Who hath done this?
Is it a man?
And a chain that you once wore about his neck. Change you color.
I pity who?
Oh, Lord, Lord, it is a hard matter for friends to meet. But mountains may be removed with earthquakes and so encounter.
Nay, but who is it?
Is it possible?
Nay, I prithee now, with most petitionary vehemence, tell me who it is.
Oh, wonderful, wonderful, and most wonderful, wonderful, and yet again wonderful. And after that all, out of hooping.
Good my complexion dost thou think, though I am comparison like a man, that I have doublet and hose in my disposition? 1 inch of delay more is a south sea of discovery. I prithee, tell me who it is quickly, and speak apace. I would thou couldst stammer that thou mightst power this concealed man out of thy mouth as wine comes out of a narrow-mouthed bottle, either too much at once or none at all. I prithee, take the cork out of thy mouth, that I may drink thy tidings.
So you may put a man in your belly?
Oh, is he of God's making? What manner of man? Is his head worth a hat, or his chin worth a beard?
Nay, he hath but a little beard.
Oh, I thank God. We'll send more if the man will be thankful. Let me stay the growth of his beard if thou delay me not the knowledge of his chin.
It is young Orlando that tripped up the wrestler's heels and your heart, both in an instant.
Nay, but the divil take mocking. Speak, sad brow, and true maid.
Faith, cuz, 'tis he.
Orlando?
Orlando.
Oh, alas the day! Oh, what shall with my doublet and hose? What did he when thou sawest him? What said he? How looked he? Where went he? What made he here? Did he ask for me? Where remains he? How parted he with thee? And when shalt thou see him again? Answer me in one word.
You must borrow me Gargantua's mouth first. 'Tis a word too great for any mouth of this age's size to say, and know to these particulars is more than to answer in a catechism.
But doth he know that I am in this forest, and in man's apparel? Looks he as freshly as he did the day he wrestled?
It is as easy to count atomies as to resolve the propositions of a lover. But take a taste of my finding him, and Relish it with good observance. I found him under a tree, like a dropped acorn.
Oh, it may well be called Jove's tree when it drops forth fruit.
Give me audience, good madam.
Proceed.
There he lay, stretched along like a wounded knight.
Oh, though it be pity to see such a sight, it well becomes the ground.
Cry hollow to the tongue, I prithee. It curvets unreasonably. He was furnished like a hunter.
Oh, ominous! He comes to kill my heart.
I would sing my song without a burthen thou bringst me out of tune.
Do you not know I am a woman? When I think, I must speak. Sweet, say on.
Enter Orlando and Jaques.
You bring me out. Soft, comes he not here?
'Tis he. Slink by and note him.
I thank you for your company, but good faith I had as lief have been myself alone.
And so had I. But yet, for fashion's sake, I thank you too for your society.
God buy you. Let's meet as little as we can.
I do desire we may be better strangers.
I pray you, mark no more trees with writing love songs in their barks.
I pray you mar no more of my verses with reading them ill-favoredly.
Rosalind is your love's name?
Yes, just.
I do not like her name.
But there was no thought of pleasing you when she was christened.
What stature is she of?
Just as high as my heart.
You are full of pretty answers. Have you not been acquainted with goldsmiths' wives and conned thee out of rings?
Not so, but I answer you right painted cloth, from whence you have studied your questions.
You have a nimble wit. I think 'twas made of Atalanta's heels. Will you sit down with me, and we two will rail against our mistress, the world, and all our misery?
I will chide no breather in the world but myself, against whom I know most faults.
The worst fault you have is to be in love.
'Tis a fault I will not change, for your best virtue. I am weary of you.
By my troth, I was seeking for a fool when I found you.
He is drowned in the brook. Look but in, and you shall see him.
There I shall see mine own figure.
Which I take to be either a fool or a cipher.
I'll tarry no longer with you. Farewell, good Signor Love.
I am glad of your departure. Adieu, Monsieur Melancholy.
I will speak to him like a saucy lackey, and under that habit play the knave with him. Do you hear, Forester?
Very well. What would you?
I pray you, what is the clock?
You should ask me what time of day. There's no clock in the forest.
Then there is no true lover in the forest, else sighing every minute and groaning every hour would detect the lazy foot of time as well as a clock.
And why not the swift foot of time? Had not that been as proper?
By no means, sir. Time travels in diverse paces with diverse persons. I'll tell you who time ambles withal, who time trots withal, who time gallops withal, and who he stands still withal.
I prithee, who doth he trot withal?
Marry, he trots hard with a young maid between the contract of her marriage and the day it is solemnized. If the interim be but a sennight, time's pace is so hard that it seems the length of a year.
Who ambles time withal?
With a priest that lacks Latin, and a rich man that hath not the gout. For the one sleeps easily because he cannot study, and the other lives merrily because he feels no pain. The one lacking the burden of lean and wasteful learning, the other knowing no burden of heavy, tedious penury. These time ambles withal.
Who doth he gallop withal?
With a thief to the gallows. For though he go as softly as foot can fall, he thinks himself too soon there.
Who stays it still withal?
With lawyers in the vacation. They sleep between term and term, and then they perceive not how time moves.
Where dwell you, pretty youth?
Why, with this shepherdess, my sister, here in the skirts of the forest, like fringe upon a petticoat.
Are you native of this place?
As the coney that you see dwell where she is kindled.
Your accent is something finer than you could purchase in so removed a dwelling.
I have been told so of many. But indeed, an old religious uncle of mine taught me to speak, who was in his youth an inland man, one that knew courtship too well, for there he fell in love. I have heard him read many lectures against it, and I thank God I am not a woman to be touched with so many giddy offenses as he hath generally taxed their whole sex withal.
Can you remember any of the principal evils that he laid to the charge of women?
There were none principal. They were all like one another, as halfpence are, every one fault seeming monstrous, till his fellow fault came to match it.
I prithee recount some of them.
No, I will not cast away my physic, but on those that are sick. There's a man haunts the forest that abuses our young plants with carving Rosalind on their barks, hangs odes upon hawthorns and elegies on brambles, all forsooth deifying the name of Rosalind. If I could meet that fancy monger, I would give him some good counsel, for he seems to have the quotidian of love upon him.
I am he that is so love-shaked. I pray you, tell me your remedy.
There is none of my uncle's marks upon you. He taught me how to know a man in love, in which cage of rushes I am sure you are not a prisoner.
What were his marks?
A lean cheek, which you have not, a blue eye and sunken, which you have not, an unquestionable spirit, which you have not, a beard neglected, which you have not, but I pardon you for that, for simply your having in beard is a younger brother's review. Then your hose should be ungartered, your bonnet unbanded, your hose unbuttoned, your shoe untied, and everything about you demonstrating a careless desolation. But you are no such man. You are rather point device in your accoutrements, as loving yourself than seeming the lover of any other.
Fair youth, I would I could make thee believe I love.
Oh, me believe it. You may as soon make her that you love believe it, which I warrant she is apter to do than to confess she does. That is one of the points in the which women still give the lie to their consciences. But in good sooth, are you he that hangs the verses on the trees, wherein Rosalind is so admired?
I swear to thee, youth, by the white hand of Rosalind, I am that he, that unfortunate he.
But are you so much in love as the rhymes you speak?
Neither rhyme nor reason can express how much.
Love is merely a madness, and I tell you, deserves as well a dark house and a whip as madmen do. And the reason why they are so punished and cured is that the lunacy is so ordinary that the whippers are in love too. Yet, I profess to curing it by counsel.
Did you ever cure any so?
Yes, one, and in this manner. He was to imagine me, his love, his mistress, and I set him every day to woo me. At which time would I, being but a moonish youth, grieve, be effeminate, changeable, liking, proud, fantastical, apish, shallow, inconstant, full of tears, full of smiles, for every passion something, and for no passion truly anything, as boys and women, for the most part, are cattle of this color, would now like him, now loathe him, then entertain him, then forswear him, now weep for him, then spit at him, that I drave my suitor from his mad humor of love to a living humor of madness, which was to forswear the full stream of the world and to live in a nook merely monastic. And thus I cured him, and this way will I take upon me to wash your liver as clean as a sound sheep's heart, that there shall not be one spot of love in it.
I would not be cured, youth.
I would cure you if you would but call me Rosalind and come every day to my cote and woo me.
Now by the faith of my love I will. Tell me where it is.
Go with me to it, and I'll show it you. And by the way, you shall tell me where in the forest you live. Will you go?
With all my heart, good youth.
Nay, you must call me Rosalind. Come, sister. Will you go?
Exit. Scene 3. Enter the clown, Audrey, and Jaques. Come apace, good Audrey. I will fetch upon your goats, Audrey. And how, Audrey, am I the man yet? Doth my simple feature content you?
Your features? Lord warned us. What features?
Well, I'm here with thee, and thy goats, as the most capricious poet, honest Ovid, was among the gods.
Oh, knowledge ill-inhabited, worse than Jove in a thatched house.
But a man's verses cannot be understood, nor a man's good wit seconded with a forward child understanding it. It strikes a man more dead than a great reckoning in a little room. Truly, I would the gods had made thee poetical.
I do not know what poetical is. Is it honest in deed and word? Is it a true thing?
No, truly, for the truest poetry is the most feigning, and lovers are given to poetry, and what they swear in poetry may be said as lovers, they do feign.
Do you wish then that the gods had made me poetical?
Oh, I do truly. For thou swearest to me that thou art honest. Now, if thou wert a poet, I might have some hope that thou didst feign.
Would you not have me honest?
No, truly, unless thou wert hard favored, for honesty coupled to beauty is to have honey a sauce to sugar.
A material fool.
Well, I am not fair, and therefore I pray the gods make me honest.
Truly, and to cast away honesty upon a foul slut were to put good meat into an unclean dish.
Oh, I am not a slut, though I think the goddess I am foul.
Well, praised be the gods for thy foulness. Sluttishness may come hereafter. Ooh, but be it as it may be, I will marry thee. And to that end, I have been with Sir Oliver Martext, vicar of the next village, who hath promised to meet me in this place of the forest and to couple us.
I would fain see this meeting.
Well, the gods give us joy.
Amen. A man may, if he were of a fearful heart, stagger in this attempt. For here we have no temple but the wood, no assembly but horned beasts. But what though? Courage. As horns are odious, they are necessary. It is said, many a man knows no ends of his goods right. Many a man has good horns and knows no ends of them. Well, that is the dowry of his wife. 'Tis none of his own getting. Horns, even so poor man alone. No, no, the doublest deer hath them as huge as the rascal. Is the single man therefore blessed? No. As a walled town is more worthier than a village, so is the forehead of a married man more honorable than the bare brow of a bachelor. And by how much defense is better than no skill? By so much is a horn more precious than to want. Oh, here comes Sir Oliver. Sir Oliver Martext, you are well met. Will you dispatch us here under this tree, or shall we go with you to your chapel?
Is there none here to give the woman?
I will not take her on gift of any man.
Truly, she must be given, or the marriage is not lawful.
Proceed, proceed. I'll give her.
Good, even good, Mr. What is? How do you do, sir? You are very well met. Good little you for your last company. I am very glad to see you. A toy in hand here, sir. Nay, pray, be covered.
Would you be married motley?
As the ox hath his bow, sir, the horse his curb, and the falcon her bells, so man hath his desires, as a pigeon's bill, so wedlock would be nibbling.
And will you, being a man of your breeding, be married under a bush like a beggar? Get you to church and have a good priest that can tell you what marriage is. This fellow will but join you together as they join wainscot. Then one of you will prove a shrunk panel, like green timber, warp, warp.
I'm not in the mind, but I were better to be married of him than of another, for he's not like to marry me well. And not being well married, it will be a good excuse for me hereafter to leave my wife.
Go thou with me, and let me counsel thee.
Come, sweet Audrey. Ooh, we must be married, or we must live in Baudry. Farewell, good Mr. Oliver. No, sweet Oliver. Oh, brave Oliver, leave me not behind thee. But wind away, be gone, I say. I will not to wedding with thee.
'Tis no matter, ne'er fantastical knave of them shall flout me out of my calling.
Exit. End of part 1. Good job, guys.
Hey.
So thank you, and join us next Friday at 6 p.m. as we do part 2 of As You Like It. Thank you so much. Good job, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone.
Stay cool.
Good night.
Good night. Good job, guys.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.